Bonjour and welcome to all of you comic book geeks, readers and collectors. Welcome. This is yes, it's a back issue haul video. But what prompted me to do this one was, and this I am going back, I'm trying to work through, sorry, forgive me, 2 minutes of preamble. Whether you've watched my videos before or you haven't, well, there are piles and piles of comics surrounding me. I'm just getting buried under. And what helps me get them out of here into the boxes and storage is doing these videos. So when I do my back issue haul videos, it helps me collate what I've bought and get them shipped out. And anyway, I was getting buried. And this is the first 100 issues of Hellblazer. And what's prompted this is the latest run of Hellblazer at the moment. If you're not picking this up, if you are like me and you haven't picked up Hellblazer for a long while, and I haven't, it's a very long while. This Simon Spurrier run is absolutely fantastic. It is everything. If you remember Vertigo, and this is where it takes me back, this latest run, Dead in America, this takes me right back to his roots. He's always had a thing against America. And I don't know when that developed. It did develop in the first 100 issues, and that's why I think these first 100 issues are interesting, because this is where the character of Constantine, and I won't run through like the storyline of the late. It says it all, and it's in Dead in America. He's on a road trip. He's on a road trip in a British bus, British red London bus across America. And it allows him to, it allows the writers and creators, I mean, that is a cover and a half, that, to be fair. I don't know even how that got allowed. Some subtleties in that cover. I don't know how that was, anyway. That got past the watchdogs of all that is holy. Etrigan appears in, this is the very latest issue. And I think that's going to be a 12-issue run, Dead in America. And it is the best Hellblazer story I've read in a long while. But I've got to admit, having said that, I will put my hand up and say that I haven't read every single Hellblazer story going. But Constantine does turn up everywhere at the moment, doesn't he? In DC. He literally turns up everywhere. I don't know whether that's to keep the copyright. I don't know whether that is because there's a second film that everyone's talking about, you know, with Keanu Reeves and blah. But anyway, that's what prompted me to do. Let's have a look at the first 100 issues of John Constantine, which represents about the first 10 years, the formative years of his character. And some interesting little tidbits along the way, if you would care to join me after the scroll. So if you've joined me after the scroll, welcome. And 1988, the first issue of Hellblazer hits the stands. Now, John Constantine at this point, up until this point, has been, this is Papa Midnight, is going to be one of his adversaries, beautiful Dave McKean covers. But up to this point, he has just been a supporting character in Swamp Thing via Alan Moore. So we're talking mid to late, like the mid 80s in Swamp Thing. And Jamie Delano, when DC wants to do a monthly ongoing on John Constantine, and Jamie Delano brings it, that British. It was in these early issues. It was, and these Dave McKean covers are beautiful, aren't they? He brings it a deliciously British feel that I really enjoyed. I mean, I've just recently reacquired all these, but I was buying these at the time when this was all kicking off. This was just pre-Vertigo, so I think Hellblazer is the longest running title for Vertigo, but it did start before Vertigo was even, because I think Swamp Thing joined Vertigo, I think, and that was just I mean, this is a very American Vietnam cover, but John Ridgway, the artist on the second on the first wave, just me, forgive me, just on a personal note, John Ridgway, the artist on this first arc of Jamie Delano's Hellblazer, was the artist on one of my Commando comic books stories that I had published. And I did get into a little bit of a fanboy pen pal letters going on. This was pre-internet. This was mid-90s, before he'd done Hellblazer. Before, I think he'd done Babylon 5. And anyway, John Ridgway was a name. When I saw his artwork on one of my stories in the late 90s, yes, I was excited. Yeah, so no, this would have been, yeah, so this was late 80s, so that would have been like, yeah, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's a personal note. Like I say, these are the formative years. Alan Moore wanted to create a blue collar warlock, not one of the old-fashioned DC posh. And even Marvel, to be fair, everyone was posh, weren't they? He wanted to do a working class warlock. That's what Alan Moore. This is the seminal issue. This one right here, issue 11. If you are interested, again, the Dave McKean covers, and this was the origin story of John when he was younger with his mates, making the wrong kind of deals. The wrong kind. Don't we all make the wrong kind of deals with the devil? And I don't know, I think Jamie Delano gets a little bit where a British writer from 2000 AD and other British publications, I think he run out of steam. I think he run out of interest after the first year. So as formative as it was and as serious as Delano was making the character, and these were always gorgeous covers. I mean, this is a favourite of mine. I love the eye, the pupil of the eye and the tube train in that cover. That is a cover. That is a cover. And we're still talking about pre-Vertigo. Look at this stuff. Gorgeous. Mark Buckingham on the artwork, who was going to go on to do Miracle Man with Neil Gaiman. And Neil Gaiman did do an issue or two later on. And, yeah, wow, some of this stuff. Yeah, these covers now, I think this is Kent. Are these Kent William covers? I'm not sure now. I'm not sure whose covers are. But look at these. Look. Yeah. So and these are quite until we get to Grant Morrison and David Lloyd doing a fill-in issue. That's the only. Yeah, and you know, or doing I think this was a 2-issue. Yes, it was. Yeah, 2-issue little fill-in, and other than that, it's all unreal. Oh, Sean Phillips turns up. It's still a very, very, what I'm finding interesting is that for a character that is really popular in American comics, he is still right up to date, right up until this stuff, Dead in America. He's still so very, very British. There's no way of getting away. Any writer that tackles it, and Cy Spurrier at the moment, obviously another Brit, understands that. But I'm so happy that he's got that audience. He's got a North American audience. That's a great cover. And this is pre. This is pre. I mean, this is Jamie Delano and Dave McKean doing interior artwork as well. Beautiful stuff. And then we hit the first Garth Ennis. So obviously, Alan Moore passes the torch to Jamie Delano from Swamp Thing to the first Hellblazer comic, Jamie Delano. And then Jamie Delano, he's really had enough, you know. He's properly had enough after 3 years. You can really tell. It's nowhere near. And we have got a bit of Garth Ennis. Early Garth Ennis. And then look who else turns up on the art duties, not on the cover. But interior is Steve Dillon. This issue is the meeting of Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. And what would become of those two. So of the 50th issue, yeah, you know, Garth is there celebrating, and I think it was, I don't know if it was called the Bad Habits storyline where he's got cancer and all. I think it was, because he's got a fag in his mouth in every cover. He's got a fag in his mouth. Now, the other template. So we're halfway through, over halfway through. So don't worry, there's not a lot. There's not a lot longer to go. This was the template, in my opinion. This was the template for Preacher. Whether you were Garth Ennis, whether you were Glenn Fabry doing the covers, whether you was Karen Berger doing the editing, whether you was Steve Dillon doing the artwork. Look at these covers. Look at these Glenn Fabry covers. You cannot tell me that Hellblazer at this point in time, just this point in time, wasn't the template for the gloriousness that was Preacher. And issue 63, by the way, sorry, I bypassed it. I meant to make a note of this was the first Vertigo issue. So it's the longest running Vertigo title, but it was going for 5 years before Vertigo even started. And now Vertigo's finished and they call it Black Label and Elseworlds and Dark Magic and Magic. I don't know what they do now, DC, to be fair, rather than keep. I mean, I really do wish they'd have just kept Vertigo going. I think. And let me know in the comments if you disagree or agree with me. I think that's a lovely fabric cover there, look. I think there's a market for Vertigo right now. Right now, in the market now. I know DC do the Black Label, and I do buy it, and if you follow my videos, you know I do. This is glorious fabric stuff, look. And you can't tell me this wasn't getting ready. This wasn't getting ready for Preacher. You can't. No one can tell me this wasn't like. And I'm not saying that Ennis and Dillon were planning it in advance and saying to Fabry, "Oh, I mean, look at this glorious stuff." Look. You can't tell me that if you can't bring back Vertigo. If they brought that back now, I'm saying to you, there is a massive, massive market for it. And I know they do Elseworlds, and I know they do Black Label and Black whatever. Oh, there he is, look, with his girlfriend, obviously. Garth Ennis introduced us. Garth Ennis brought Constantine and the pub, and I think it was it Kim? Into the whole mythos. You know, everything happened down the pub. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Now we go into an era where I do think, so this is Jamie Delano comes on for one issue and the covers aren't Fabry, so it's jarring. And it is Vertigo, so, you know, we accept it. Look, there's a smoking monkey. But I've got to admit, you know, I love Sean Phillips. And who's the one he does a lot of work with? Is it Brubaker? Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips now? Forgive me if I've got that wrong, but listen, the guy is a great artist. After Fabry on the covers, we are in, you know, it's kind of, for me, it's peaking. It's peaked, and it is now, you know. And I didn't like Eddie Campbell's take on it. I'll just be honest. I'll be honest. Paul Jenkins took over on the writing duties. The Sean Phillips. I'm getting more. You know, we're all getting more used to the Sean Phillips covers, and that's a great. I'd forgotten this one actually. That's a great take on ET, and this is a very, very. That's a very, very striking cover. And I won't go through every single tiny cover, but I just thought I would share the first 100, and look where we end up. Look where we end up in issue 100. Poor old John. Look how he ends up. But to be fair, this is where he is in a way. In these modern ones, that's why I've found going through the first 100, and I'm not saying I've read every single page and every single word, but where we've, yeah, look at the cover of issue 1. And the title was on the cover. He's dead in America. The guy is dying and he's being held together by other means, and obviously in these modern comics, old Swamp Thing is his mate, his begrudging friend, because he's always had one over on Swamp Thing, hasn't he? So yes, so listen, I will leave it there. If I don't know whether that was enlightening to you, the first 100 Hellblazers or not. Whether it was a trip down memory lane for Vertigo fans of my age stamp. But I hope you enjoyed it if you followed me this far. Thank you to all you sexy, 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 sexy subscribers. Anyone who's commenting, leave a comment and a like. You know what to do. And if you didn't like it, I don't mind. You have a look. You have a look at my comment section. There are, I know it's hard to believe, but there are a few people that say, Hog, no, didn't like it, don't like it. They criticise me. Listen, it's all good. Let me know, please, in the comments. They are down below. That's the bit I get right. And until next time, if I don't see you on Threads or see you through a window, I'll see you back over here next time. Adios.